What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Notes from the Editors and Ink and Insight Show. Tonight is a really exciting episode. I've been looking forward to this for quite a while here since I had the pleasure of talking to my local comic book store owner, proprietor, just good overall dude. And it's going to be a good conversation. I'm really excited for tonight here. Stu, as always, though, I'm excited to hang out with you, man. How's today been treating you?
Man, today's been great, dude. I likewise am super stoked to to hear from your LCS owner, and I love getting comic book shop owners perspective and insight on the industry, and really hearing like where we're headed and how things are going down at ground zero. And these are the folks that we owe so much of our fanhood to. They serve as not just like a shop, but a place that we can, our safe space, right? Our happy place, every week. So, man, can't wait to meet your owner and really, to really see how things are going out there in Cali, man.
Heck yeah, dude. All right, well, let's not bury the lead then. Let's jump right into it here. So let me go ahead and pull onto the stage here the one, the only Alex from Treasure Island Comics. Alex, man, thanks so much for joining us today, man.
Hello.
Hey, all right. Dude, so for those who don't know, like I have the pleasure of talking to you more often than not multiple times a week here, but Treasure Island Comics, man, how long have you been in this game here for yourself here in the Bay Area and I guess in the comic book retail game?
My shop opened in 2003, so that puts us at 22 years plus for this year, and then I opened the Comic Depot with my buddy Bobby back in 1985. So that's a long time ago.
It's not too long ago, right? Like, let's not age ourselves that much. It was like yesterday.
It goes pretty quick, that's for sure.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Dude, well, one of the last, I think it was maybe 2 episodes ago, one of the topics that we were talking about is like one of the things that got you back into comics and what reignited or ignited your passion for comic books again. And me and Stu were talking, and I had the pleasure of telling the story about me kind of bringing my kid to a comic book store for the first time as he was very young. And I was like, I really dug this as, when I was younger, and I wanted to see if he could kind of get back, if he could have that same kind of passion. And I remember telling the story, and this is when you were at your old location. I was like, I got to walk into this comic book store. It was, a couple blocks away basically from where I lived. And I told him, like, when I stopped collecting, I was really, really digging on Uncanny X-Force. Like, that was kind of the thing that did it for me. And within 2 seconds, you had the trade paperback of 7 to Eternity in my hands going, if you like that, you're going to love this. Now, the other recommendation that you had to me that day was East of West. So personally, I feel like I have you to thank for a lot of my indie tastes right now and some of the comic books that I really have begun to appreciate even more so as the years have gone on here. So thank you very much for putting that back in my hands and really maybe kind of jumpstarting me on this crazy journey of collecting again.
Well, it's easy with Rick Remender and Jonathan Hickman. I mean, that's like cheating. Those guys are both excellent. So
just a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about the nature of that part of the process, because I think that's one of the most fascinating things is the hand sale that goes on in a local comic book store, man. Like you clearly, like you did some kind of magic trick on me that got me to now have a collection over 4,000 comic books, a multitude of hardcovers, trade paperbacks, and back into being a Wednesday warrior, man. Like, how do you do that? How do you facilitate that, knowing that there's so many different avenues to comic book collecting nowadays?
Oh, it's tough. I mean, mostly if people want to come in and reconnect, it's a nostalgia thing, typically, right? And nostalgia for all of us is, it's like whatever your first blush with the hobby was, and if it reminds you of that era or makes you feel like you did when you were a kid in that era, it's really hard to say no to that. And I think there's a psychology involved with the companies that they know exactly what they're doing with that stuff, with the marketing. And it is nostalgia based. I mean, the whole thing is making you feel like a kid. I mean, they always say that comic books are a hobby for kids, but it hasn't been for decades in this country, right? It's mostly a hobby for older guys. Not much for kids. Kids tend to spend their money on video games and manga now, which manga is huge for them, but the price point of manga versus price point versus like a Marvel or DC comic book and the value of quality and value versus what you're getting is wild, right? I mean, like when I was a kid, comic books were like 20 cents. You could get 5 for $1. There's no tax on comic books back then. Now everything is taxed. If you're a kid, who knows what your allowance situation is like, but a comic book is basically $5. You're not going to spend, a lot of kids aren't going to spend $5 of an allowance on a comic book. But a manga, manga is like $10 for 80 to 100, maybe 120 pages. It's a way better read for kids. Or video games, right? Like we've all had experience with video games. I was playing Silk Song before I got on here, right? It's like
you're a glutton for punishment, dude.
The game's hard, yeah. But I mean, that kids went to video games a long time ago. You look at like comic books from the 80s, like the last big era, right? You see there's video game ads in the back of comic books all the time back then, right? It's aimed right at you, and it's continued to be aimed at kids. In this, you get a video game for $50-$60, and I think again the perception of value is a lot greater if you're a parent. You go, oh, they're going to play that game for for hours, days, months, whatever. Comic book could be read and discarded in moments, and that's tough. Yeah, it's tough. But like nostalgia thing, right? Like it makes you feel like a kid. You're gonna have a hard time saying no to that. Like X-Men relaunch with Hickman, right? I mean, they got everybody excited with that. Hickman's a really heady writer. He wants to be Grant Morrison. They sold a lot of people on that stuff, and then halfway through they changed gears, and it was tough. It was really, really tough to be a reader in that situation and stick with those books based on what was sold to you originally, and then the way it was going to end. Yeah, it's tough though. Yeah, I mean, like I say, the shop. It's just tough being a fan. It's just so tough being a fan sometimes, man.
No kidding, man.
Do you see any young readers, and do you see young readers coming to the shop for anything besides manga? Do you see them like attracted to one title or another?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things aimed at younger readers now, but there's not a lot of traction there. The Jeff the Land Shark comic books are pretty good with the kids. That's pretty safe. The Disney Marvel books have been pretty safe for kids as well. And I think like for a lot of parents, you see the Disney label on something and it helps sell it pretty easily because you think, oh, that's safe, whatever, right? But a lot of kids don't come and read comic books. I mean, it's not growing that part of the business much at all. A lot of it is if a parent has a hobby and wants their kid to kind of get into it, that's super common. Of course, we all do that to all of our kids. Yeah, I did that too. We do to our significant others, our partners, our wives, our husbands. You push it on everybody, right?
Yeah.
And there's a little bit like when the movies come out, there's, a grandparent might go, oh, my grandkid liked this thing. Where should I read? And it's hard because there's not a direct corollary reading book to what a lot of the Marvel movies have done because they've kind of dim-summed it up, taken storylines from all over the place. And a lot of it's in the Ultimate Universe. And that just is really tough to sell. I mean, I remember years ago, I had a grandmother come in and say, hey, my kid wants to read all the comic books the movies were based on. And you're like, sure, that's hundreds of dollars of trades, and they're like, okay, check out. I don't want to do something like that. It becomes too big for them at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But not a lot of kids organically come in for books. It depends if, I mean, I guess the biggest thing really like anything these days is social media. If social media, I guess, starts talking about something, then that definitely gets people's attention.
Right.
Part of me does want to see like a sullen 8-year-old walk into the shop and be like, I'm here for my ice cream man, please.
Oh boy, that'd be tough.
Yeah, exactly. It does make me think to the time when I was in my pre-teens and Oni Comics was really big, and I was a huge fan of Kevin Smith at the time, and I somehow managed to convince my grandfather to allow me to get Oni Double Feature #1, which was the Jay and Silent Bob thing, which had dogs with certain things happening to their anatomy, and obviously a bunch of weed smoking and things like that. How I made that happen, I still don't know, but it did. It made its way into my collection here.
Still kid hobby.
Yeah, exactly. So let me go ahead and say what's up to the people that are joining us in the chat here real quick. Give them a little bit of attention here, starting with Bob. Bob, what is going on, man? Always hanging strong with us. We appreciate you. Actually, Matthew was tailgating here, and he had a question here, hopping over from Comic Culture. First of all, thank you for joining us today here. Nick puts on a great show great multitude of shows on his channel, so we're happy to have you here. I really value your taste in indie titles. Is there a news site, forums that you can go to keep track of what you consider the choicest indie books? I think all three of us could probably answer this. Alex, I'm really actually interested to hear what your answer would be. I am an aficionado of League of Comic Geeks, though. That's the kind of thing that keeps me as in tune as possible as I can be, but it's an imperfect tool because we know that dates change on some of these books, but
Mhm.
it's been pretty smooth recently. Stu, what
I
about you?
have
Or
so
actually,
much
here, go.
marketing information sent to me. That's what I use.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm League too. Yeah,
your
League
league.
League is my site. Yeah.
Okay. So, but Alex, okay, well, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong. Previews, the book is going away, but is previews itself now basically a thing of the past?
I think they're still producing a digital version, and I don't use it. To be fair, I don't use it. I don't do much business with Diamond at all these days.
Mhm.
Almost every vendor has moved on to Lunar or Penguin Random House or
Yeah.
Filbo. Filbo is doing a bunch of stuff, although I don't use them. There is also Simon and Schuster, which I go to direct for Viz and a couple of their manga
Yeah.
publishers, but there's just a couple of small publishers that Diamond still has contracts with that no one else has picked up, and that's about it. And I mean, I get, gosh, dozens. I mean, probably anywhere from 30 to 60 emails a week of marketing material sent to me for books. Sometimes by the marketing departments of the company, sometimes by the writers.
Mhm.
And I sift through all that. I mean, I just look at that. I don't really go to the internet too much for stuff. I will look at Bleeding Cool if something weird happens, or the Beat if industry news happens, right? Like,
Oh, yeah, the beat is fantastic.
Yeah.
yeah, I like the Beat a lot. That's always got I like Brian Hibbs' comments and perspective on things a lot, and have for years. And then if there's something really weird, social media wise or gossipy, then Bleeding Cool's always got that kind of weird deets on that, or the first details on that. So.
The first details and the most typos, without a shadow of a
Yeah.
doubt.
Oh
TMZ.
yeah, well, I mean,
They're the TMZ of the comic book world. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, well, it's totally like he wants to be that kind of news, which is fine. It gets lots of clicks, I'm sure, and people like the gossip aspect. So
Yeah. If it bleeds, it leads.
yeah, totally.
Yeah. We also had Bob saying here is excited for Skin Police 2 and Good Devils Don't Play Fair with Evil. Alex, considering you just told us backstage you were reading, we'll circle back around to this statement. I want to definitely get your opinion on stuff that's coming out. Bob also started reading Assorted Crisis Events. Damn, that was good stuff. I love that book. Well, I think we all love that book. It's probably,
book's super fun.
It's one of my favorite books of the
Weirdly
year.
deep too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. You had mentioned
Crushingly deep.
Morrison-esque kind of books. I feel
Yeah.
like Dennis Camp is kind of fitting that bill, maybe even more so than Hickman nowadays.
Well, they're both awesome. I mean, they Dennis Camp is an architect at DC and Marvel, and that seems to be for good reason. I mean, he like all the absolute and ultimate stuff is doing really, really well. All the catalog or mainline stuff, I think, is kind of stuck in its audience and not really trying to grow, with the exception of maybe Batman, which launched with Fraction, which is excellent, of course. But most of those titles aren't trying to grow their audience. It doesn't feel like to me these days. And it's weird. I mean, the market's been so inconsistent since COVID. It's just been weird as hell, right? I mean, everything's been weird as hell since COVID. Comic books are totally affected. Like a bad example is like Saga was on super hiatus during COVID, and no one knew how long it was going to be on hiatus for. It was supposed to be 6 months, and it'd been like 3.5 years. And that book came back, and so many people, seems like they've missed that book came back, right? That the book felt like it was abandoned for lots of folks, and that's a shame, right? There wasn't a lot of marketing going on for that book in the break, and it's tough. I mean, Image doesn't. I don't think they have like a marketing department per se for everybody. I thought like they had like all their little company serfdoms set up, and I thought those guys would be responsible for that stuff. But and Brian Vaughn writes plenty of other stuff. He just had that hardcover come out with Henriksen. They're all busy, but it's like these people work for themselves, and you kind of think the way things are these days that they do all their marketing themselves, and it just felt like sometimes we don't hear from books and we just assume that books are over or whatever, and it's weird, right? It's just a weird thing that happens to comic books, especially all the time. Like books don't sell well and they're dropped or they're just abandoned.
Well, and that's a weird part of the industry too, is that like, especially when it comes to indie comic books, it's not just make a comic book and put it out. Like you're the one that's out there promoting it, you're marketing it, you're putting up the money, especially if you're working with Image and stuff like that, you're funding the project. You're wearing so many hats when it comes to that kind of stuff that it's easy for one little thing to fall through the cracks here, which could be promoting your damn book, which is going to get the sales out there.
Well, I think a lot of us, especially with like anything with entertainment, you kind of, not that we're stuck in a rut, but you have expectations and we have a habit and things, we just expect them to kind of keep chugging along with the serialized entertainment stuff. So you don't think about it too much. And then Like for me, like if you tell me, hey, I always want the new Hickman thing, then I try to make sure I order the Hickman thing for you. And a lot of it is writer or creative driven, right? Like there's certainly artists that always get the attention, and writers that always have their audience and stuff. And like that Good Devils book that's coming out, right? That's Dragotta. And I didn't order it too heavy, but I had a bunch of people ask for it after I put it out in the email, so I put a reorder in already for it. So we'll see.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Excited
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Me too. David Brothers is writing it as well, and I've heard a lot of good things about it. So, let's see here. We got Pete also hanging with us here, saying, "What's up? Still need to read the last few issues of Ace." Yeah, definitely. It's so worthwhile here. Also, Pete giving you a little bit of love here for Silk Song.
Oh yeah. Well, I hate myself. That's why I'm playing that game, obviously. So
there you go.
Oh man. Yeah.
Let's see here. Bob saying nostalgia for me, black and white and newsprint. The packaging matters for nostalgia. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what's that's one of the biggest deals for me when it comes to Savage Sword of Conan. Why I take so much enjoyment out of that is because it reminds me of the days before I really enjoyed Conan, but the days where my dad would pick up the old original Savage Sword of Conan when I was getting my Uncanny X-Men's in the Jim Lee era and stuff like that. We also got
I love Conan's always good, damn it. So
yeah, totally agree. We love Conan around here. We have Omega Slice hanging with us saying, "What's up here?" And Omega's also asking, "Did anyone pick up The Author Immortal?" If let's see, if I was more interested in expanding my pull, I think that would be the next book to add. Omega, I did not. In fact, that one's totally like right over my head. Stu, Alex, do either of you guys recognize that one?
Yeah, new number one from Image this week. I did not read it. I have a small stack of stuff I got to return when I go back in the shop tonight, and I might grab that one to read. Just a couple of things to finish up this week.
Okay, nice. Well, you could tell me tomorrow then when I hit the shop to pick up my book, whether or not Omega, is right to be interested in that one here. And rest assured, I'll probably end up picking it up here so I can give it a nice review.
There's a lot this week, man. I mean, you got Batman, Ultimate X-Men, Ultimate Wolverine, Absolute Evil, Absolute Superman, Absolute Green Lantern. Absolute Green Lantern has artist change on the book with Rylo Rossmo took over the art, which is a welcome
change. Get out
change.
of here.
Yeah, really good.
Wait a minute.
What?
Okay, because that was my biggest gripe with that book, was that the art felt like it wasn't something that I could resonate with. Like, and I'll keep it nice, right? It wasn't something that I could dig. Riley Rossmo, I think I could dig though. I
always like his work.
Yeah.
He's good. He's messy, but he's awesome.
Well, yeah. But coming off of the heels of The Moon Is Following Us too, I definitely gained a larger appreciation for their work at that time.
Absolutely.
So dang. All right.
Get some like Cowboy Ninja Viking, go old school,
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, okay. So
That's cool.
That's actually a good jumping off point. So week to week, right here and right now, like you said, like it's been weird since COVID, but I feel like the like, I know that's an understatement. But the messaging, it feels like from a retail perspective, year over year since shops opened back up and since kind of like the lockdowns were all kind of put to the side, is that comics have been successful, but nobody can really put their finger on the reason why. So I guess I wanted to ask, what, like, in your personal opinion, and I know that we're kind of living in a microcosm, but what is your personal perspective on where the market is right now and what is working in the shop?
Yeah. Again, the Ultimate, the Absolute stuff's doing really, really well. There's a pretty strong audience for the Boom and Better Boom and Image books, of course. Like, I mean, Image and Boom tend to cover the indie stuff really well. They're the bigger indies, and Marvel and DC kind of just smother everybody else at this point. I mean, they put out a ton of titles. They're trying to do that thing, right? But the Ultimate Absolute stuff is doing really, really well. I mean, there's lots of juice in that. It feels fun, even though a lot of it's just remixed material, right? Again, the Batman relaunch has been super fun because it's awesome. It's got a great creative team on it. It reads super well. It's super fun. I didn't notice with the first issue, and I have to go back and look, but I noticed with the second issue that all 23 pages of story are in front with ads behind that, like Spawn is done. And I welcome that change. That's nice to have no ads in between the story.
That's awesome.
Yeah. You know, I do like the fact that there's no ads, but I got to say, when I go back and read, well, you had mentioned like video game ads and all those old school comics, and like that Contra ad is like burned into my memory. The guy with like the crazy face on the newspaper, or like Metal Gear 2, Snake's Revenge with all the weapons that were laid out.
Oh yeah.
So part of me Yeah.
So many video game ads. I mean, so many classic ads.
Exactly. So part of me kind of misses those, but like from a reader's perspective and for my appreciation level, yeah, I think we're doing okay without so many.
Well, yeah,
different
80s,
ads.
90s video games for sure. Older than that, you've got like Sea Monkeys and Grit and the Smith and Johnson catalog,
Yeah.
Count Dante, which is awesome. Older ads, you got the Daisy rifles and stuff, of course.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah,
soldier
exactly.
box.
I love it when you like get an old Atari ad or something like that. It's
Oh,
so
yes.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so cool getting
Yes.
that nostalgia.
I miss my old Atari, man. I had the wood grain on it, the wood finish and everything. That thing was so tight.
Well, God, it helps you really remember an era, because if they show you a video game ad and you had that system, it's going to bring back pretty strong memories.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for
That's
sure.
That's hilarious, right?
I found one the other day. It was that I don't know if y'all remember the show Mantis on Fox.
I'm embarrassed
But
to
it
say
was
that
just
I
like,
do. Yes.
oh man, it took me right back.
Is it a cartoon or live action?
It was live action. It was it was very similar to Black Manta in DC. He had that type of exoskeleton type suit. Yeah.
Wasn't he like a paraplegic and it allowed him to have like almost like Tin Can Society, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that you say absolutely.
Not calling out the Tin Can Society team, but
no, it's just so many things are echoes of previous things,
right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's kind of like funny. It's like one of those it's that thought of like there's no such thing as an original idea anymore. It's just remixes of remixes of remixes. But if
like
you
everything Dead and Dying, solid remix of Walking Dead, really cool first issue, 5-issue miniseries, super easy to get in and out. I totally dug it.
Oh yeah, you put Jacob Phillips on a book, and I think me and Stu both were big appreciators of him. So yeah, cool.
We all still like zombie stuff. We're just tired of zombie stuff. You need a wrinkle on it.
Yeah.
On that note, how do you feel? Because we have this debate all the time in the back chat. How do you feel about ongoing series versus minis as a retailer? Do you think ongoing still work? And it's like,
yeah.
Because I know, like for sales wise, I'm sure like ASM work. Like I'm sure there's still people out the door for that one. But like I just wonder how you view that.
Spider-Man always sells because that's easy, kind of like for back issues, classic back issues like 80s and older. Spider-Man's the shit. That's the best back issue I have regularly. If I ever get Spider-Man back issues, they blow out always. Right, he's just the best back issue sales. But miniseries versus ongoing series. Miniseries to me often look like a series that the publishers don't have much confidence in. They're getting you to commit to a short time rather than any kind of long commitment, because it's tough. Like with all the X-Men books that just came out and ended like at issue 10 roughly, that sucks. That's tough. That's really tough to commit to a book, even though Magic ended at whatever 1610, whatever the issue was, and it's going to relaunch again after this Heir to Apocalypse event is over, and I think she's the Sorcerer Supreme of the Earth now or something like that. But it's tough. I mean, I think it's easy to commit to miniseries, and it becomes tough for folks to commit to ongoing series with few exceptions, right? Like Spider-Man, Batman, Wolverine almost, Wonder Woman. Those tend to do really well on subscription because the people that want those characters want that book almost regardless. Right. There's an inertia built up around it, but it's tough. I mean, I like miniseries. I like anthologies. We're getting lots of anthologies ever since COVID happened, which is something I felt like I helped Department of Truth. I thought it into existence. So I just want anthologies to happen so bad because I love them when I was a kid. I love horror anthologies, especially everybody who's putting out horror anthologies. Those are great because there's no stakes. You can get in and out. It's easy to either enjoy or not enjoy. And then some stories land, some stories are dud. But it's like Twilight Zone or the old EC format books. I love the EC format stuff, and those are always super fun. They don't sell great, but you get tons of stuff like But this week we had the DC's Satanic Panic anthology book, their $10 Halloween book. And it was super fun, man. But I'm sorry for those kind of things.
Big covers too,
yeah. Well, Bermejo for sure. Any cover that guy does is awesome for me.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things about being a Wednesday warrior, going into a brick and mortar, comic shop and I'm really obviously lucky to have you and your shop in my area, is just the interactions, right? I feel like it's a different experience that you have from picking up your Kindle and buying a comic digitally. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but having those interactions and having a community to talk to and kind of bounce things off of. I've learned so much about you and your history with comics, and there's been so many really cool stories that you've been able to share with me. you don't have to go into too much detail here, but like, how did your comic book journey begin? Like, what got you into the hobby? What got you into doing this as a living, right? Like, what stoked those fires, and what's kind of keeping them ignited?
I got into comic books because mostly because of an uncle, and because of Superman. Superman was always given to me as a kid because I was born here in America. My parents were both immigrants, and so Superman was a big deal comic book thing, right? We do see him as an immigrant hero in my house because that's kind of how he's written.
Yeah.
But that was the first thing, and I didn't like him a lot as a little kid, and then I got older. It's like the Beatles. I hated the Beatles as a little kid, and then I got older. I was like, man, I love the Beatles and Superman. Kind of dumb thing. Oh, the Dodgers just scored. Teoscar Hernandez hit a home run. Awesome. So
It's okay. I was watching the Cubs earlier today, and I was so happy that they won.
Yeah, so like I was watching the Sox beat the Yankees earlier too. Baseball's awesome, but
It is.
and another dinger. Awesome. Okay, 5-0 Dodgers. Anyway, wow. So, but I was into comic books as a kid. I was always into comic books. It was a big deal to, very few people were into them and stuff. And then at like 15, I started buying and selling them with the intent of like trying to do it as a business almost, at like flea markets and stuff like that. And then I ended up getting my resale number at 15. And at the advice of an older guy, a mentor to me, said, man, do it like this. Get your resale number, start selling conventions and swap meets and stuff like that. And I started doing that. Really, really young, because I had a couple of older guys basically just kind of give me great pointers and be like, man, you're doing the same thing we did, and this is how it's done. And this is, mid 80s back in the day. So it's a totally different landscape for comic books. I mean, we're, Secret Wars, Watchmen, Dark Knight era of things, Grendel, Mage, those are the big books. It's Frank Miller's, all the guys that became Dark Horse Legends. These guys were all becoming superstars in that era, right? X-Men is still awesome. It's Byrne and Claremont. That's the best thing. Like, and then now we've got that X-Men Else One thing coming out next year, which I cannot wait. It's aimed right at me,
dude.
Yes. Great. So
I mean, and that's a super nostalgia hit, right? But like, how can anybody that's been? I mean, I'm 54, so anybody slightly older than me, and then I'd say up to maybe 20 years younger than me would be in the window for the Claremont stuff. That's aimed right at all of us. There's no way you can say no to that stuff. And like I joke at the shop all the time, I'm a DC guy. I can't wait for that X-Men book. I'm a total DC guy. So, so I started working at flea market and stuff. And then I had my buddy Bobby open the Comic Depot back in '85, and that was awesome. We were doing conventions. That's back when WonderCon was created here in Oakland by Joe Fields at Flying Colors. He created that show. And just was very lucky to have been born at the right time to get into comic books in that era, because that was a great era. That was just heady stuff. I mean, like the Frank Miller and Alan Moore stuff is just wild. I love that stuff. Frank Miller's a huge major creator for me still, and Alan Moore is always my favorite writer. So, yes. But and it's comic books. I mean, I've always been more of a reader than a television watcher. I don't watch television too much. I try to watch the TV shows that are comic book related, but don't do it too much. Because I'm watching sports all the time mostly. But I read all the damn time, and I love comic books. I mean, there's no limits on comic books, right? There's no conditions, no barriers that can't be beat or defeated, and it's not limited, and that's what makes comic books awesome. And that's why it's always interesting to see what someone's trying to bring. There's always another wrinkle, good or bad, right? Like the bad wrinkle, I'll just get to it, is the blind bag thing. It's going to burn out so many people, but it's fun for lots of folks too, but it's going to burn out so many folks, like all these things always tend to do, It's a trip.
We've had quite the conversations about blind bags around these parts recently, because of all of the Battle Beast and
Eric just got his first one a couple of weeks ago. We peer pressured him into it.
I didn't want to open it. I couldn't bring myself to do it. I was telling the story. I remember this time when there was an Uncanny X-Men. It was the issue where Ileana dies, and it has a perforated like pullout, where you could like win a Konami arcade machine. And I ripped it, and like as soon as that thing ripped, I hated my life, and I was like, I can never do this again to a comic book. And that included opening a freaking blind bag, so it kind of destroyed me a little bit. But that kind of does bring me to a point though, where like, well. In fact, you told me when it came to the Battle Beast blind bag, the shop kind of did great numbers on that book. Like,
right. It was ridiculous, unfortunately. I mean, and I mean, that's people, it's people want to do it, right? They want to have, it's a way to gamble with comic books. It's like, people have said it's like the Pokemonification of comic books. And I guess there's something to be to that, right? It is a gambling thing. You could score one of the hard to find ones. I mean, the Battle Beast, I sold like 300 copies of that thing, which is wild. But I had 3 really heavy pre-orders on it from 3 individuals, which I was like, man, if it's going to go that heavy, I might as well take a flyer and go a little crazy. It was the cover price wasn't too heavy, unlike the Batman #1 was $10, which made it tough. But they're all foil, right? So it's it's tough. And for the the Battle Beast one, we had guys hit like some really hard to find books in the shop. So the collation was all over the place, and I mean, we had multiple 1 in 1000s opened in the shop, and that's just wonky as hell. It was wild.
Okay.
And the Batman, nobody got a 1 in 1000, 1 in 500 in the shop that I didn't see, which is a shame. And I was telling a bunch of customers when we had the old Harley Quinn blind bag with the sketch covers, 2 customers wound up with sketch covers when I had that in the shop ages ago. One guy kept his, and one guy sold his right away, which was neat on both counts. We've got a Mark Spears Monster in the Bat blind bag coming, which I did go a little heavy on because I think he's got like original art covers in that one, which is crazy. I mean, that's just crazy. That appeals to me because I'm a monster guy, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So that's my hypocrite things. Like I hate blind bags except for the monster one. The monster one's awesome, of course.
I like the ones that I like.
We got X or Ultimate Endgame's gonna have a blind bag, and I think that's all foil as well, or maybe not foil. Whereas rare foils are kept in there, but that's $5.99, which makes it a little more easy for guys to take a shot on that. There's gonna be one for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 13. Vampirella's got one coming up. There's gonna be a bunch of them, unfortunately. I mean, it's trendy. It's as long as they sell well, they will continue to do them.
Yeah. Well, and it makes me wonder too if it was a reaction to Battle Beast or if it was something that was pre-planned, like the industry kind of just had a feeling and they all did it. The timing makes it like hard to distinguish that because my gut instinct is like, oh, Battle Beast did it, so then everyone jumped on the bandwagon. But like there has to be more planning behind it, or maybe there isn't. I don't know.
Yeah, I would think you're probably right. I think probably Battle Beast was the first, but I bet you all the publishers are already in talks about it because once one publisher does it, I'm sure the printing plant was talking to the other publishers for sales. And so I'm sure, I mean, even though it happened, months ago, it was probably very beginning of the year or something, or very end of last year, it was probably started talking about that to get the production up and what it would take logistically to get those made and all that stuff. So I'm sure once Image agreed, everybody I'm sure got wind of it, and we're already working on that because it's like any of the trends. I mean, some tend to do better than others. We haven't really seen lenticular covers come yet, and I'm not invoking it or anything. We've seen foil covers, and those have been very mixed nuts. Most of them don't sell. It seems like they cooled off pretty quick on the foil covers, which is fine. A lot of them are produced at premium, which makes it tough. But it's weird. Like we just had the Scott Campbell variant covers, and those did okay. Mark Spears tends to do very, very well. Art Germ, of course, does really, really well still. So Peach sells like the most, but man, that lady produces like I think 12 a month for other people. It's rip.
She's what's
your general policy, I guess, on the variants outside of like customer orders and stuff like that? When you're just ordering stuff to throw on the shelf, how do you go about?
I'm terrible with them. It's really tough to order variants. I tell people all the time, like the only time I feel like I really tend to get it right is on a #1 or an anniversary issue because that's an easy way. Like the Deadpool Batman, there's like 15 covers. I had a small smattering of each, some heavier than others, of course, based on artist. All ordered with the intent to sell out because I don't want to have any of this stock. For those things like that, for all those covers, it's too many cover varieties and like the DC side of it, there's going to be 20 covers on the DC side. And I think they're $1 extra and they'll sell just as well. And it doesn't matter, but it'll be crazy. I ordering that a little heavier based off the way the Marvel one sold, but a lot of it is guessing. A lot of people don't really signal that they want to buy variants in advance. I do have a lot of regulars that are good at communicating that to me now because we've got years of communication, or even sometimes a new customer comes and says, hey, I'm looking for a certain cover by this person. I try my best to make sure we get all those covers by that person. But a lot of it is guessing, and it sucks. It's really, really tough to guess on these. The internet has made things very, very fickle. As popular as Peach Momoko is, Scotty Young in my shop is not that popular right now. That's a weird thing to see that. Like he used to sell so much 20 years ago. And then, I just said it 20 years ago, he was selling a lot more, but that's a whole different window, whole different hobby. It's weird, you know, it's very, very trendy. It's very subjective. I mean, people do get trendy. Peach is certainly a trendy artist, but she's awesome, you know. So it's hard to complain. Nogi-san is getting a lot of attention in with a couple of my variant guys lately, but I tell people, if you want to make sure you get that cover, just let me know in advance by FOCs. I'm happy to get it for you in whatever quantities you want. I don't care. It's just my job to get you comic books. If you're willing to ask me, I'm willing to get them for you, you know, but I don't go too heavy on them. Like issue 14 of Exceptional X-Men probably doesn't need 5 covers on the stand. So I would not order them unless there's like a Scott Campbell thing or the Halloween Retro Masks. I love those damn covers because Halloween's my time of the year. They're not selling super well, but it's a shame, but they're awesome. I love that. Those kind of covers I love to death.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and it's kind of funny too, like you said, it's kind of like the hotness of the time frame, right? Because you know, 4 years ago we kind of didn't know who Peach Momoko was. 2 years ago we didn't know who Mark Spears was.
Totally.
It's kind of funny how that stuff is all cyclical and kind of just people come in and out of fashion. And then, well, like, you mentioned J. Scott Campbell. It used to be like that was the name, that was the guy. You bought a cover for him constantly. And I don't know, it's weird how the industry works that way.
It is. It's funny that way.
Yeah. So one of the things, okay, so this is kind of an interesting way to put this, but it is true. It's an interesting thing. I think that we are very lucky in the area that we're in, that there's a lot of shops, and a lot of shops have back issues. But I've seen in the industry more often than not, a lot of people are going away from the notion of back issues. And again, I'm lucky enough to be at your shop where you have a wide variety of books, you know, from, you know, current all the way back to the golden age, right? If you were to open up a shop today, what do you think your approach would be? Would you try to go new comics, a mix? Like what do you think the right answer is?
It depends on, like, I mean, it's part of it would depend on your location. In the old days, the working knowledge was you opened a bookstore in a college town close to schools, because that way you'd always have sales. I don't know if that holds true anymore. It's hard to say. I am very lucky with the garage, because I'm basically in a garage, a big industrial garage. I have about 20,000 back issues out on the floor. I love that. I know that a lot of shops don't get the opportunity to do that because of square footage rates for rent is ridiculous around here. Of course, Barry sucks for rent, you know?
Yeah.
And it's tough. I mean, like they're, you know, Marvel and DC both would prefer you probably to just read the digital version of those back issues at this point. With their, you know, DC Universe or Marvel Unlimited apps, you know, I think there's what, $10 a month, and you can read all the digital things you want. You don't get to save them, which I think is reasonable, but you can read to your heart's content. And I think if you're just consuming, that makes tons of sense. Marvel always does a really, really good job of reprinting their material with the Epic collections, which I just changed all the display photos in the shop because I have so goddamn many. There's so many are back in print now. It looks awesome. I have the wall of them, you know.
Trust me, I noticed it. I had to go peek through a couple of them. Oh my God, look at all of these things.
Well, it's like, I mean, you know, with the Penguin taking over getting the plates and resuming the production of those things, they're starting to fill in the gaps and get a lot of those backfilled, and it's really neat. And then DC's got the DC Finest on the flip side of that, which they're doing the same thing. Price point again is really good on those. I mean, I always discount my trades and hardcovers 25% because of Amazon and other online guys. So those are always really well priced, and they sell well for catalog stuff, or like just reading catalog stuff. They're awesome, you know, reads. Also the DC Compact series, those sell like crazy, man. But I mean, they're not really made for my shop. They're made for bookstores. But again, $10. I sell those at $7.50. You can't beat that. It's manga sized, aimed to go into manga readers' hands. It's super smart. They sell very, very well. The Marvel Premiere Collection, a little bit pricier, right? They're charging $5 extra, and the trim size is just a little bit bigger. It's like the same size as the old Marvel Masterworks soft covers, I think. And that they don't sell as well. I think if Marvel were to just trim that size down a little bit, and match the DC size and put them at $10, they would just move like gangbusters. It's just a price point thing at that point for most folks.
Yeah. I mean, to their credit, though, I was just in the shop on Saturday picking up the Winter Soldier collection. So, I'll give them a little bit of credit. Good job, Marvel.
Yeah, you know? I mean, it's like I said, it's great. The price point, though, like especially with the economy is weird, right? I mean, there's inflation's there. It feels like we're recessing, although every indicator shows that we're not, which just goes to show you that our economy cannot be looked at in a traditional sense anymore. because it doesn't feel great, right? If you did a vibe check on the economy, it doesn't feel great. And to rewind a little bit too, like with what the publishers are producing for us, right? They're producing copium for us, copium for the masses. They want us to be distracted. Their whole point is to make sure they offer as much as possible for us to consume. And I'm their agent in making sure it's available to you, right? So they're producing tons of stuff because they know people are willing to spend to distract themselves from every day right now, because a lot of, if you're watching the news, it sucks. It's not good. It's not a good time for most people, or the news is very ugly and people don't want to tune into that. It takes a certain kind of masochism to tune into that stuff pretty regularly, right? So they're producing, think of it like all the people that are touring right now, the movies that are coming out. The movie business is kind of screwed forever, I feel like, after COVID, right? But they're still trying, and people still do want to get out and see film. But any kind of distraction that's available to you, it's available. There's tons of stuff available. Video games are coming out like at a crazy pace. I also got Hades 2 to get into. Ridiculous, and every week I'm reading, anywhere from 10 to 20 books, mostly for some enjoyment, mostly to talk with people. So there's constantly stuff available to us to distract ourselves from what's going on. I always distract myself with sport. There's always something there for us, right? And the people that produce that kind of content are smart. It's not just the comic book publishers and the film publishers and the video game publishers. It's people that produce content like on TikTok and social media that also, I think, compete for all, like the Joe Rogan podcast or whatever. People, all these things, people have these hobbies and time carved out, and they're all competing for each other. And it just kind of depends on what kind of shelf do you want to stock for yourself? What do you want to surround yourself with? Do you want to, like for us, it's comic books. I'd rather watch sports and comic books, but for other folks, it's, some political thing or late night shows or whatever. But again, there's no shortage of late night shows, no shortage of anything. We got more entertainment than we could ever want. It's all available to us. Very on purpose, I feel.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, actually, and I'm glad that you brought those two things up here. So first and foremost, I'm not saying this to run you off by any means here, but
Sure.
I should let you know. You already know that you're with one Chicago Bears fan, but it's not just one; it's actually two.
Well,
so
you guys
being
that game.
Hey, a win is a win is a win. So
I know, for sure.
I wanted to let you know here. I know the Raiders are your secondary team, but still kind of your team, regardless here. So, but I feel like there is a cool interconnectivity, more so than I think traditionally was seen in the past. Maybe when we were coming up and starting to collect ourselves, the fandom between sports and comics, really, there's so many synergies between those two things.
Sure,
It's kind of ridiculous, right? So, honest to God, on Wednesdays when I come in, sure, we talk comics, right? But I would wager a guess we probably talk sports 75% of the time and comics maybe 25% of the time.
Yeah, comic books are not the first conversation for most folks in the shop, which is hilarious. It's always a funny observation when I have people guess in the shop. They're like, "You guys aren't talking comics." It's like, no, we're talking everything else. But like most customers I've known for a very long time, it's one of those relationships. It's almost like a bar, right? Like I joke, if I could serve alcohol, I'd be the coolest shop ever, TM, but there's no way we could do that in Fremont.
Could you imagine?
If I served beer, that'd be awesome, right? But
my wife would have to drag me away.
Oh, yeah. But it's just that kind of place, right? If I like to talk, if you like to talk, we'll have conversation. If people, like I had someone on Saturday, the shop's pretty organized, and I try to make it very easy to find stuff. And someone was like, hey, I appreciate that. I said, well, cool. There's two types of customers: the talkative types and the types who don't want to talk. They just want to dig, or they got their whatever issue, right? And so I tell people that the best thing I can do is make sure it's easy as hell for you to find stuff in the shop then. And if I tell people the back is the Marvels, the middle is the DC, this is indies, the rest, the front is all in production, stuff still being produced. And then, most people are happy to dig or whatever, right? But if you want to ask questions, people can tell pretty quick, I'm happy to talk. So
that's amazing, because I do not, at my shop, I do not have that experience, at least in a universal sense with the employees. There's certain guys in there who are just really cold, really flat with people will come in. There's been times before where people have come in and asked for something they saw on a show or a movie, and these guys will just either kind of cut them off or not really help them answer the question or find what they're looking for. And there's literally been times where I've taken people's hands and tried to take them to the book they're looking for or whatever. So that's super dope, because I don't like going in. I don't like that feeling sometimes of going into my shop and walking on eggshells, not knowing if these guys want to talk comics. Because sometimes with certain guys, I feel like I'm annoying them, like everybody else talks about. You know what I mean? So that's great that you have that attitude, because
it's tough. I mean, every shop is so different. I mean, you know, when I started back in the 80s, we were rude to people. It was a very common thing to have the comic book guy experience, and you know, to be fair, we all enjoyed it. It was terrible. It was a very mean-spirited time, and I'm glad we've moved on past that. It was not inclusive. It was very exclusive, and you had people you were cool with and people you weren't cool with. And there's always a lot of weird vibes around comic books. I mean, it's a very opinionated hobby. People have a hard time expressing their opinions without arguing sometimes. And I tell people all the time, I don't really want to argue with you. It's, you know, I'm happy to debate and stuff, but no one really wants to argue. I think you should argue with family, not with strangers. You know, it's, well, I mean, you know, God, everybody's going to take it so personal, or it just, there's so much loaded in anything with the public. And, but, you know, we all grow. You have to want to be better at it too. I mean, like I joke, I get a lot of opportunity to practice conversation in the shop, and I'm not 100% good at it. There's some people that it's really hard to engage, and I'm also awkward sometimes, right? It's really tough to get in gear with everybody. There's not an easy answer on that one.
Yeah, but it is like I love what you're saying about like how it is so opinionated, because I heard somebody else say this, and I think it's so true. It is such a singular experience, taking a comic off the shelf and reading it by yourself and having that experience, but then to go and share it with other people, I think is like the second half of that, where it can be a really beautiful, like, you know, life-changing, community finding type thing. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm glad that industry has come at least a little way in that respect.
Well, people love to commiserate. Like, we love to share experience, right? Usually it's about something we all like or dislike. Usually I guess lately it's things we dislike, right? That's the zeitgeist right now. It is what it is. I mean, Eric Sherman says, I don't care for social media and the culture that it has. I think most of it is divisive, and I feel unfortunately it was probably created to do that stuff. I mean, it's good to share an opinion. It's really dumb to argue, and it's really dumb to argue with strangers. I mean, it's just I can't articulate that any better. I lack a better vocabulary. I don't like it. I think it brings out the worst in us, and that's not what anybody really likes to do. I mean, there's always people who like to troll, but I mean, good God, who's got the gullet for it anymore? I mean, you know, it should be burnt out of most of us by now. We should be moving into the next phase of things, which is, you know, hopefully being better. You know, we're not great at listening. We're really bad at reading comprehension. There's a lot of cognitive dissonance in the world right now, right? People kind of gaslighting ourselves about what we're willing to tolerate or not tolerate, or, you know, where the line is and stuff. I mean, it's a weird one, right? And this is all it feels like a dumb cycle we've been on before. You know, for a lot of us, it was the last time we were in this kind of phase of things. A lot of us were a lot younger, so the whole lens is very different. But God, it feels like we've done all this before. Just like comic books. I mean, all we're doing is kind of retelling comic book stories right now, because it's a lot of risk adversity in the market. You know, with Marvel and DC especially, right? I mean, they don't want to take risks. They're very corporate. You can understand it. You can get upset with it, but it's pointless to get upset with it. It's just big business. They're not there to take risk. Independent publishers are, and that's why we get great stuff on independents, right? I mean, independent stuff can never go away. It's always going to have a need. It's always going to innovate first. I mean, like you said, it brought the blind bag first, right? So and the big two followed, right? It created so much of a wake in its path that the big two were like totally sucked in on it. And you know, innovation is key to comic books. We want to be impressed. It's like Gladiator. We want to be entertained. We really do. We love the novelty. We love to talk about it. We're all primates. We love the gossip aspect of comic books. You know, we like the human experience of it, right? That's like you said, you know, you get to read a book singularly and you have that experience, and then you get to kind of ingest it, and then you get to regurgitate it and share with people that you care. And we do it with film and other things too, right? But it's part of the communal experience. We're wired that way. We want to share experience. We want to know that, hey, you like that too. We're, you know, in a bit of a majority. We like that, makes us feel comfortable or safe, right? That these are all these things that a lot of psychology, like I said at the beginning, a lot of psychology is built into this stuff, and it's super insidious and intentional. It's mostly used against us, but just for sales. But it could be terrible if they have great influence on us, and people want to be told people want to be led, like, hey, people, there's a lot of stuff going on right now. Again, I don't want to have to make a decision. What things should I look after? And they give tons of stuff to us. There's tons of stuff available, right?
Yeah. Well, and I'll circle back to the story that I told about getting back into comics with you, right? Like I said, I really dig Uncanny X-Force. You very easily could have put like, here's the Winter Soldier in my hands, right? Or like it could have been, oh, and by the way, here's this, that, and the other, all of his big two work. But instead you chose Seven to Eternity, right? And I feel like that was a very intentional choice, even though you didn't know me really at that point. But still, that goes to show like indie is kind of where it's at. I mean, it just is, right?
It's always more appealing. I feel more appealing organically. It's just a little easier for them to be cooler, right?
Yeah, exactly. We've had a couple interesting questions here crop up in the chat. Let me come over to these. And Alex, you are definitely the person to ask here. Skybound just announced compact compendium editions.
See, super smart.
Okay, so actually that brings me to another question here. Like Skybound seems to be really, really, really doing it right. Like with all their licensed property, with everything that they're doing, right? Kirkman feels like he has his finger on the pulse of everything. Is that is it resonating in the shop itself? Is that just my perception, or is that true to the retail perspective?
No, I mean, I think he's I'll make all the generalizations, right? Let's do it. He's the most exciting founder, i.e. founder at Image these days, being the last edition, because he is the new blood. He landed with Walking Dead, which was wild at the time, and Invincible's a great fun book. I sell a ton of the compendiums, of course, especially when the season's fresh. It's a great book. It starts off with a very heavy classic Spider-Man vibe. And if you like that vibe, you're going to love the shit out of that book, right? I always tell people they should read Battle Pope. Battle Pope's hilarious. I'm biased. That book's terrible, right? Capes is coming back remastered. But like Skybound got the Transformers Hasbro license, right? That's super smart. I mean, Hasbro could have, I'm sure they talked to everybody. They talked to Marvel, DC, and Marvel had a relationship with them already. But you see what Kirkman was able to do with The Walking Dead. And I'm sure Hasbro saw that and was like, man, strength on strength. Let this guy run with it. Super smart, super smart, I feel. But I think he's got the video game aspect of Skybound. He's got the gaming aspect. He seems to be very, very smart about it. And he's just kind of killing on that stuff. I mean, Skinbreaker, that book's ridiculous, dude. That book was awesome. I mean, it's hard to. It's a total throwback book with the arts. I said this at the shop. I'm not the biggest David Finch fan. I'm not a David Finch hater by any means. But after seeing that book, I was like, holy smokes, this guy's ridiculous. Next level for him. Next level. It was fun. Yeah. Again, and I didn't know what to expect. They had been pushing that book pretty hard, and I read the previews in the PDF, but that never does the same. It's not the same experience as reading it in the hand, which is more impactful. I feel more visceral. Killer book, man. And that's what comic books is all about in one way. Like seeing that book and getting your mind blown a little. Just people's brains melted. I had a bunch of guys come in that hadn't been into comic books in ages, and they said, "Hey, I saw this thing with David Finch is coming out," and I made sure they got a copy. And again, I read it digitally. I read it in hand. When I read it in hand, it was like, and I'll date myself here for a second, but it's like when Barry Smith did the Red Nails. It was just next level art out of an artist who was already a killer artist, but this just put it like next level. And to see a creator bring that level of work to this hobby and have it resonate is like I said, a lot of fun, right? We love that sense of discovery. We love being wowed by it. It was a joy. Total fun, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What other new books are like that for you? What other new books are you super excited to see come out?
Oh boy, now I could sound like a jaded owner now, right? Boy, not much. I get excited for everything Alan Moore, which is not comic book form anymore.
I know.
Anything Grant Morrison, of course, which Grant Morrison's awesome for me. Warren Ellis, although he's not really doing much because he's on a circuit on the way back, but tremendous writer still.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Garth Ennis is always really, really good, right? I'm kind of showing my age, but it depends on the creator. Nothing from Marvel or DC has really blown my mind, except for again the ultimate and absolute stuff. I really appreciate the energy that, again, it's total slick retread, and I don't want to give like a ton of credit. It's like they're adding they're not reinventing anything, but having read the old stuff and seeing how it's twisted and remixed is fun. I used to hate it, but if you want to continue to enjoy comic books, you have to adapt with the changes that comic books are doing. And I chose to like it rather than hate it. I'd rather enjoy it. I don't want to hate comic books, man. It's, some people like to root against stuff. I tend to find I don't have the energy to root against comic books. I got plenty of sports people I'm rooting against. I really want comic books to be awesome, you know?
Yeah. I think there's better energy to be put towards being productive towards that conversation, right? I could very easily say like Amazing Spider-Man sucks, but like a better conversation would be, how do we make Amazing Spider-Man better? Now, will they listen to us? Probably not, but still, I think it's a better conversation to have.
Yeah, I mean, because it's oddly so subjective, right? And it's kind of that thing which you heard people say again. It's like, if you don't like it, move on to the next thing. And I totally get it, right? It's exhausting to just hate watch something, or who even has the attention to do that? That's just an odd hobby. Not for me to judge, but it's an odd hobby. Life is so goddamn short, people. You know, seriously, surround yourself with some positivity. There's enough bad things are going to creep in regardless of whether we want them to or not. We really should kind of surround ourselves with things that make us happy. It's you know, that's my personal philosophy. But it's just stuff, right? There's, you know, God, like a good indie book that Oni Press did, that Out of Alcatraz. That book was so awesome. Really, really fun. A great crime book. I wish it had sold better. I was only selling like 10, 12 copies, but even that, I felt like it was a weird victory, because we exist in a comic book world that's populated by superheroes and derivative superheroes. I mean, that's the end of it, right? I mean, that's where we're at. I love seeing a good crime book, or like a Skinbreaker was a good adventure book. I'm always a sucker for a Western. I love Western and horror comic books, man. We're getting a lot of horror, and horror's easy. I mean, again, it's cathartic. It's the time we're in. It's really easy to produce. It's really easy to relate to, because we all know what fear is. It's very easy to tap into that. Like with all the film you see, right? It's so cheap to produce and so profitable. We're going to have nothing. I mean, the way things are going, we got, you know, there's 40 million years of great horror movies coming. So, you know, it's going to be awesome. No shortage anytime soon, as far as I'm concerned.
For real. Bob also had a really great question. I feel like I know the answer to this one, but I'll throw it out there. Alex, what about zines at your shop and other shops? Does anyone have a good experience around the makers, like superhero comics, like Monty Keene, or local makers? How do those books do in your shop, and like kind of what is what are your
I don't really have that stuff in the shop. I do carry stuff. Anytime a local content creator comes in and wants to put a book on the shelf, I tell them the only thing I really need from them to be sure is a barcode, so we can scan it correctly and track it. Otherwise, I'm happy to stock anything local. I think it's really, really neat, but I don't have anybody producing zines. I don't have a lot of that kind of clientele at all, unfortunately.
It's kind of weird in our area, right? Like the only thing, and I don't know if I would really even call this in that same facet, but like Silver Sprockets is kind of in our footprint, kind of outside, but still kind of somewhere within our footprint. But I've yet to see a lot of that kind of stuff being published here. It feels like maybe there's a lot of East Coast presence with that kind of stuff. That's at least my inclination towards it.
It's hard to say. I mean, I tend to, if people ask to bring something in the shop, I'm happy to bring it in. I even like, well, gosh, if a book gets launched, right? If I'll put a book on the stands for 3 months, if a book doesn't sell after 3 months, though, like if there's no movement, like we have to whittle it down to its audience, I won't put it on the stands anymore. And I always feel so oddly guilty about that, right? Because it feels like I'm making a judgment, like I'm burying a book, but it's not that. It's like, man, that thing was not doing anything. It just wasn't doing anything with its space. And it's just very real. I mean, like, you know, a lot of back issues are unnecessary these days with trades and stuff. I mean, I always want to have Batman, Spider-Man, X-Men back issues. I used to be very proud to have a ton of back issues for a lot of independent stuff. And it's just ever since COVID kind of died. And I had to look at like, man, how much am I willing to invest in dead stock to have it available? And it's tough, right? Like it is an investment in your business, but if it doesn't ever sell, like if it goes 2 years and doesn't sell, I'll just cut it, man. It just has to, there's something else that has to work. And it's tough. I love customer requests. Like I joke every time, I can't get that customer wrong. This is exactly what you want. Let me get that for you. That's super easy. And I encourage people to pre-order as much as possible. And it's tough. People don't like to pre-order. Sometimes they feel like it's homework. Some guys love to pre-order. You know, but for a lot of folks, it feels like, gosh, I just want to enjoy this hobby. I don't want to have to coordinate my hobby. And I get it. It's ideally I should be able to carry, Marvel carries like 7 covers on average for 7 different covers. It's like, man, ideally I could carry all that, but it just doesn't make much sense to do so.
Yeah. I'm definitely one of those collectors, and I know, well, Alex, of course you know this, but I'm the guy that's always coming in with a list, and you're just like, that's not even on solicit yet. Go away, come back in a month, and then we'll talk about this kind of stuff.
Again, early's great, right? Way better than late, which is so easy to say, but it's tough. I mean, I always want to. Anybody that emails me, I shouldn't say this on public. If you email me and say, "Hey, carry that book," I'll order it. If you email me, you put that effort in, I will always order that book. I love the effort, and I always reciprocate. And then again, it follows the 3-issue rule, whether it lives or dies at that point. But it's so tough, right? I mean, I get that people have to get something in front of you, and some people are natural born sellers, and some people aren't. Just like anything else, some people just want to create art, and they don't want to be a marketing guy, and they don't want to be a communications person. I totally get it, because I write music as well, and I just want to write music and release it. I don't want to have to market it and whatever else, right? But like anybody doing anything creative, if you're working for yourself, you got to have all the hats, and that's exhausting. And that's where the big two are successful, right? I mean, it's homogenized entertainment that always shows up. It's rarely late, with a few exceptions, Grandpa, stuff like that, right?
That hurt.
Or even Jim Lee on Hush too, which is so damn late at this point, right? I mean, Hush is what, next year, and it's tough, right? Like it loses so much momentum when a book like that. It just sucks, and it's tough. But there's no right or wrong answer.
Yeah, exactly. Well, look at this here. We have our friend Nick here telling us the December previews is out already. So Alex, be ready for an email, because the time is now. I'll be sending you my new list here. And look, we already got another person. I'll be sending an email here. So
yeah, so that's the yeah, they got the digital version of previews, which again I don't look at, because the order interfaces I use are very, very different than what the public gets to see, and I'm used to seeing the retailer side, so I almost never look at the consumer side.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense then.
Yeah.
We also had Simpleton saying here, Oni is reprinting some Sean, oh man, he's going to make me pronounce this last name again, Kuranuru Westerns as well. He just did the Goddamn Tragedy, if my memory is correct here. I really enjoyed that book. Yeah, that was good stuff. All right. I think we talked a lot about the stuff. In regard to this upcoming week here, is there anything that we should absolutely positively have our eyes open for? Is there anything that, without a shadow of a doubt, every person needs to pick up?
See. What did I look when I was looking at my website earlier, right? To reacquaint myself. Spider-Man Noir, super cool, super fun. Just saying.
Oh, interesting.
Rook Exodus is back. That was fun. Department of Truth, which I'm a sucker for. Anything James Tynion, I'm a sucker for, as people know in the shop. Batman 2, super dope. That's not news. Absolute Evil was fun. Absolute Green Lantern artist change, really, really fun, man. Absolute Superman, I'm still a sucker for all the absolutes. So those are the ones I would shout out this week.
Nice.
Those are kind of easy.
Cool. Stu, before we go here, did you have any other final questions here that you wanted to toss out there?
Just one. We talked about a lot of book successes and books you bet on. What's a book in 2025 that you did not expect to sell well that really surprised you, flying off the shelves?
Oh God, probably that Deadpool Batman book. I could have easily doubled my order. I went so heavy. I ordered 100 copies amongst all the different covers, and I probably could have gone 200 and sold just well, which is weird.
I'm part of the problem there.
Well, I mean, the crossovers are fun, right? They're fun. That novelty thing, it's what you want to see as a fan. The kid in you wants to see DC and Marvel crossover, of course.
Okay.
They're smart to do it. I mean, we're going to see a lot more of them. I mean, like I was joking at the shop, now that we've had the Superman film come out from James Gunn, it's tone-wise very similar to Marvel, so we can get the Marvel DC movie crossover. That's going to make $1 billion, right? Movies, they need a shot in the arm like that. And it's not for me. I'm not the target audience on that stuff. These films aren't made for me by and large, but this is what the people want. It should be fun. It doesn't have to be very tribal and stodgy and like this cannot happen. They should do regular crossovers. I said this before, and I'll say it again now in public. Marvel and DC, put that shit in a trust so you guys don't have to manage it and be emotional about it. Put it into a trust that manages for both parties.
Yes.
So everything's can be produced and is available in print at any given time. Like when George Perez was ill in passing. There was no copies available of the JLA Avengers thing, and it was so damn embarrassing that was the case. I mean, I think DC is in control of the reprint rights, and that's fine, that's cool. But man, make that shit available. It shouldn't require a special occasion where someone's dying to get a book produced.
Yeah. Well said, man. Well, Alex, thank you so much for taking time out of your day, man, especially on a busy day on this Tuesday for us. For those who don't know, what's the best way, if you're in the Bay Area, to get in contact with you, to start a pull list? How should people reach out to you?
Oh, I guess just hit the website, treasureislandcomics.com, or on Instagram is TIComics. Message me there. I'm happy to set up a subscription list. I love subscription lists. That's, like I said, the easiest thing. One of the easiest things I can do is get you what you're asking for. Love it. I have hundreds of customers every month that I'm doing that for. And I've been doing it for, 37 years at this point. So I still enjoy my job. I get the opportunities like this to talk to folks that enjoy comic books. If you're in Fremont and in the area, I'm happy to be your guy, man. Come in, chop me up, talk me up, and we'll get you going.
Hell yeah. And for those who don't know, by the way, check out the reference, how maybe you got the name Treasure Island Comics. I think if you know, you probably know. But make sure to peep out maybe Watchmen to track down some of the inspiration of this kind of stuff here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. But again, Alex, thank you so much. For everyone in the area, make sure to check out Alex at Treasure Island Comics here. That'll do it for us tonight. Thank you for everyone in the chat. Of course, Stu, thank you as always, man, each and every week. Check us out tomorrow night over on Dr. Doom's Fan Club here for another episode of Ink and Insights. Stu, what issues are we going to be going over?
Oh man, we're going to talk about the Marvel Zombies Disney Plus series, or at least I am. I just finished that one up the other night. I know Eve's going to try to watch an episode or two and just have an opinion on it, but I was pleasantly surprised by that one. We're talking about, what are we talking about, bud? We're going to talk about Green Arrow. We're going to talk about Beneath the Trees, Rite of Spring. Yes. We're going to talk about a lot of books. Superman, Twilight Zone. There was a lot of bangers from last week, so a plethora of good stuff to talk about. Yeah, it was. Loved it. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, again, thank you for everyone on the panel. Thank you everyone from the chat. And thank you for everyone on the rewind here. We appreciate you, and we will catch you on another episode next week.